Alright, let's draw for turn. We're here to bring you commander insights and hot tech to level up your game. Each episode focuses on a different topic with our 4-person pod to give you all our spicy take. And joining us again for a very special episode is our special guest, the queen herself, Eri. Eri, how's it going?
Hey.
Hi.
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're surviving.
Doing all right.
Been better.
Aw. Well, EK, what's new
I'm
with
like
you?
a kid.
Dude?
I've been a kid all day waiting like for Christmas morning, and then the mail truck never came.
Aw. What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
A bunch of artist proofs, a foil expedition.
The cards you just
other
want that
things.
don't actually need is what you're saying.
No, I'm actually using all of them.
Oh,
How dare you?
Yeah, like they're all going into decks. They all have spots.
That's always a
So
bonus,
yeah,
right?
I did need them.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, surely it will show up within the next day or so.
I believe.
I hope.
Eri, back on the show for the second time. What's been new with you?
In the world of Magic, I did get a gift from my mailman in the form of a box of Commander Legends, a booster box, which I was super excited to open. And then my boyfriend decided we should save it for Christmas, and then we could do a 4-pod family thing. And so, anyways, it's sitting beside me. It's taking every ounce of self-restraint to not rip open the packs. Preparing for this podcast got me all excited for the set. It's even harder now. So that's been my.
You could always crack that and then buy another box.
Yeah.
It's true. Or like, what if I cracked the packs and then just put an elastic band around them? Because then it's still the same.
Are you
I mean,
considering a
I know
repack?
people who do that.
Yeah, it's like a repack.
I know people who do that. They like put them back into like Ziploc bags.
See? It's repurposing.
Rappers at this point.
I mean, that's one way to work.
All right, so so speaking of Commander Legends, I went in on some product this past week, and we played a little bit of Seal with me and 3 of my friends, and it was pretty fun. I would say
How
it's
long
like
did your game last?
about an hour and a half.
Sorry to interrupt you, but how long did your game last?
It's about an hour and a half. Well,
That is
if
the
you
fastest game of limited
Okay,
I've heard
if you-
with this format.
Okay, well, when you play with me, as Sean knows, I don't mess around on my turn. I know what I'm gonna do, and my turns usually don't take long unless I'm like trying to piecemeal something together, or I have to go in the tank and think about what I need to do right then and there. But those are like few and far between. Like I kind of have an idea of what I want to do before you call on me to take my turn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sure.
Like because I've been thinking about it during the other 3 people's turns.
No.
But minus some technical hiccups, it only took us an hour and a half to do the whole thing.
That's not bad, actually. I mean, compared to some of the stories like EK was saying, that's not bad.
Yeah, someone's laptop died in the middle of the game, so we had to wait for them to plug it in again.
Oh no.
And then there was a Windows update, so we had to wait for that to finish.
2020 problems. Oh no.
Oh, that's
All right,
So
Sean.
After the first game, were you guys compelled to play a second? Like, were you so excited?
No, just because of the extra time that was added from technical difficulty, it was like 11 o'clock, so that was the end of it.
I guess another question on that to piggyback would be: did you like your deck enough that you would have played another hour and a half long game with it?
Maybe like on another night, yeah. If it wasn't 11 o'clock, I would have played another game.
Yeah.
I drafted a Yearlock deck, which is pretty sweet. Especially when the other players.
That's why your game. That's why your game didn't last very long. You got like one of the commanders that actually moves the game along.
yeah.
There was some. There was also a Kamal in the draft, so that helped a bit too.
That'll do it.
Sure.
And then there was also there was a Blue-White Flyers deck, and there was a Selesnya Counters deck. So yeah, the game progressed nicely. No one was too afraid. Like the thing is, like we'll discuss what happens in a typical game. And like what you can do to stop it when our main segment. But I played a game on Sunday with Sean, which was pretty fun.
Yeah, honestly, I had a nice blast with that. I think for the last 2
You
weeks,
played a non-dragon commander.
I did. I got to play Joyer for the second time.
Yeah. This time you didn't punt.
I did. Yeah, this time it actually worked. Isochron Scepter was not the last card in the deck. It was the 5th last card.
Oh god.
So I actually
To
got
be fair,
to...
in the first game that you played, I basically said you couldn't play the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
this isn't even the second game that he's played with it. It's the third game that he's played with this deck.
It's true.
yeah. What was it? What else was in the pod? It was I played Shuyan. Our one friend played. It was like a Boros. It was the Boros pre-con commander.
Yeah, it was...
Yeah,
Wild.
Boy and I have been in the tank on that for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then the other guy played the Demir Flash Commander or whatever.
Yeah, it was like Una's guard or something.
Yeah, it's like when you play a card with when you play a card, you get to put a card from your graveyard in your hand, a creature from your graveyard in your hand or something like that. It was pretty interesting.
It was
Nimrus, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Nimrus. But
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty interesting game. Everyone got to do kind of the things they wanted to do, so I would say overall fun time.
Yeah, honestly, like it was a nice kind of mix. Like we had a bunch of people did different board clears. People, like Adam said, everyone did what they did, and I mean, I'm happy. I got to make infinite mana and steal everyone's things with Memnarch. So you know, it was.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that you were trying to go for the Aetherflux win cons, and but it wouldn't have mattered because if I had a deflecting palm or not, because that wouldn't have killed you. You could just low laser me again because you played a million spells that turn.
Yeah, it was a big turn. Swazi, what about you, man?
So I have, like usual, worked a lot, but played a lot of Arena. I didn't really get to play any Commander. Haven't drafted this at all, but this is going to be interesting. But I played a lot of Arena, played a lot of Goblins, made a lot of people unhappy. I don't know what turn 4 is.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, Swaz, but unfortunately, Goblins are not an archetype in the Commander Legends Limited.
That is you.
I mean, there are Goblin Pirates, I suppose, and there's Krark. There's a Goblin you can put in the command zone. Yeah.
There are goblins, but there aren't goblins.
Yeah, there's Goblins, but they're not like a Goblin archetype. Yeah.
I know.
But maybe we'll learn some more about what archetypes there are in our main segment. But let's transition really quickly before we go to that to some news on the stack. We've got a minute to talk about various news in the world of Magic the Gathering. News on the stack, and let's see what's resolving. So Commander Legends is out, in case you didn't know. As the recording of this show on November 23rd, 2020, Commander Legends is now available at your local game store, so go buy some. Or buy singles, because if you want to build decks, that's the best way to do, because in the finance news, just about every single tank, including the one we spent an entire episode talking about.
As we predicted.
As we did
predicted.
Articulately predicted.
But there's a lot of fun commanders. In fact, there's 70 of them to choose from. So go wild. Let us know in the comments what you're building.
Fun fact, 1,540 different commander combinations are available in Commander Legends with the partner mechanic.
Yeah, I want to know the person who's like working to build every single one.
There is somebody, and
I'm sure
he's
there's
given
somebody
up
out
on that
there.
hope and dream.
Oh,
He's
that
like
was fast.
He's I think he's on like the Brainstorm Brewery, or like a friend of theirs, I think.
That was fast.
Yeah, he's like he's given up. He's given up.
It's a lot of builds.
Yeah.
It's a lot of bills. Yeah, I would hate Magic if I had to do that. And then the last one, breaking news today. New Secret Lair alert. Seb McKinnon coming to do your Secret Lair anniversary. I think they're announcing more products, but that was the first one we got.
Yeah.
That was announced today.
The Magic Arena has suggested what the rest of them are, but
okay. Well, let's talk about the one.
We won't talk about it.
Well, let's talk about the ones that's known. So Seb McKinnon, who is by far and away the most popular Magic the Gathering artist right now, has a Secret Lair with his with cards with his arts on them. A Swamp, I believe, Sword of Temptation, Damnation, and Enchanted Evening. So one of those cards has value. So
yeah, I mean one of those is like a $36 card.
Yeah, so for your $40, you can get a $36 card. So and with Seb McKinnon art, and it's foil. So I think it's kind of worth it just for the Damnation. You get some other stuff.
I'd say for the Damnation, it's worth it because that, like in Canadian dollars, that's like $50 just for a non-foil on its own. So it's worth it.
Yeah.
Seb McKinnon art, so it looks really sweet. Yeah. So
the one interesting thing that I will say is they called it the Artist Series Secret Lair, which implies that there are going to be more artists getting more lairs like this.
Please let Vulcan Baga be one of them. He's like my favorite.
Rebecca Guay?
Or Rebecca Gay, yeah, that would be good.
Was it Gay?
She is confirmed to have cards coming out in 2021.
Yes.
Oh, good. Thank
her
goodness.
Kickstarter confirmed it.
Her lands have always been my favorite, so that would.
Oh, they're so pretty.
They are.
Yeah, I use her forests in my Najila deck.
Yeah, keep your eye out for that in the next few days, just before the American Thanksgiving holiday. And to those of you who are listening in the States, it's Happy Thanksgiving if you're listening to this after the 26th, I believe.
Yes. I think.
Yeah, the episode will go live on the internet tomorrow.
Huzzah.
So
But now that
you
everything-
have something about Thanksgiving.
All right, so now that everything's resolved on all the news on the stack has resolved, let's dive into this episode's topic: drafting Commander Legends with our guest QueenieEri. Take it away, Queenie.
Sure. So I thought just to start things off, we could just really quickly go over what drafting is in case you just play Commander and you don't know what we're talking about. So drafting is basically pods of, usually it's 6 to 8, but Commander Legends is supposed to be 4 to 8 people, 3 packs per person. You open a pack, you take a card, and you pass the pack. And everyone does this at the same time, and then from this you basically have to build a deck. So it's pretty simple. The Commander Legends is interesting because they've adapted the rules a little bit for this. So like I said already, it's best to draft in groups of 4 to 8, and this is because you're playing in groups of 4, like you would usually play Commander. And instead of taking 1 card from each pack, you take 2 cards from each pack. And you can have a commander. Usually when you draft, you're drafting from a set, and you wouldn't have a commander. So you can have a commander, or you can have 2 commanders. And there's a very interesting, I actually don't know if this card is solely from Commander Legends, but it's a card called the Prismatic Piper. Is it only
it's
Commander
just
Legends?
a set.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this card is basically it's a 5 generic 3/3 legendary creature shapeshifter. And if it's your commander, you can choose a color before the game begins, and it's the chosen color. And it has partner, so it can always be your commander. And they basically have put this card in so you can play whichever colors you end up drafting, even if you don't have a commander in those colors. And the kind of interesting thing about this card is you don't have to draft it to be able to play it. You can just have one, I guess, to make things
I was
super
gonna ask that.
That's
Okay.
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rules say you could represent the Prismatic Piper with a token, basically.
Yeah.
Oh.
But from what we've seen from people opening boxes, there's it's not hard to get just half a dozen of these in.
Yeah,
in boxes.
I'm like
It's
sinking in
common.
Prismatic Pipers at this point. I haven't etched
I-
one
like, I-
crying out loud.
Yeah, I opened a collector's box and I have 4.
perfect. So you have 4 partner commander. You can only have 2 commanders, but if you wanted, you could have 2 of them.
Yeah,
As your
you could.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you
we should
if
say-
you drafted one of them.
We
If
should say
I
that the
understand
pick-
it correctly.
Yeah, we should say the pick 2 thing. The reason they're picking 2 cards from each pack is because the packs are bigger. There are 20 cards as opposed to 15.
That's true. That's really true.
The designers also said that you pick 2 cards just because picking 1 card at a time for a 60 card deck would take forever.
Yeah.
So picking 2 cards at a time lets you draft faster and you get some more synergy.
I think there's some other rules associated with this. So we are building as far as the deck build and what can contain and how the rules of the game. So what else are we working with here?
So it's like it was mentioned, it's a 60 card deck instead of a 40 card deck. And usually when you're drafting, there's this rule of thumb. You draft a 40 card deck, you're probably going to put in 17 lands. So the rule of thumb here is it's a 60 card deck. You're going to put in around 25 lands, and that of course will change depending on what archetype you draft. And this is not a singleton format. You can have multiple copies of the same card if you draft them. You could have 5 copies of the same card if you draft them. Put all those Prismatic Pipers in your deck if you draft them.
Okay.
A 40 life total instead of a 20 life total. So I guess it's regular commander rules. And then I think all the rest of the regular commander rules apply to this draft format.
Yeah, so it makes for a very interesting game when you sit down with a draft deck against 3 other people for sure. Oh, it should also be mentioned that it's 60 cards, no more, no less. By the way, that includes your commanders.
Okay, so they're still sticking by that 100 to 60. You can't go over.
Yeah, you can't go
Yeah, so,
go over that.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's really 58 cards.
59
Yeah.
58. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, 58.
If you can run
59.
one commander, that's always nice. All right, so now that we know how what the rules are, let's talk about some draft strategy. But let's start with some fundamentals, and I want to talk about bread.
Are we making sandwiches?
Not that kind of bread.
Oh.
All right, so bread is a draft ideology that's transcended pretty much all through Magic's history, and it's an acronym actually. So bread stands for bombs, removal, evasion, aggro, and defense/dirt. So let's go down each of these and talk about them a little bit, Eri.
Sure. So bombs, it's a little self-explanatory. These are cards that are going to quickly progress you towards winning the game. You're looking for large creatures, crazy spells. It is typically the rare or mythic in your pack, although not always.
Aqueous form is a common that we found out from all of the content that I consumed.
Removal, cards that can deal with permanents on the board. So anything that could kill a creature or deal damage or not allow creatures to block or attack. It's actually, so usually when I draft, I actually quite enjoy limited. I only do bombs and removal. I've never followed the next 3 rules. Maybe that's why I'm not the best drafter, but actually
because the bombs that are rule are the best part by far.
That's true. Everything else is just kind of dirt, and you just stick it in there.
1 speed, go.
So Emmy takes it from bread to bird.
So when you're playing with Eri, it's BRD.
Yeah.
Just bird. Yeah, it's bird.
There you go, burr.
So the E in bread is evasion. So these are cards that I guess are evasive in nature. So you're looking for cards that can not be blocked in some way. So cards with trample, flying, menace, I guess obviously unblockable, cards with protection from a color, all of those are kind of evasive strategies. A is aggro. So you're looking for things that early to mid game can attack, more aggressive creatures, that kind of thing. And then D is defense and dirt. So these are cards whose sole purpose is to stop you from losing the game as opposed to advancing towards a win. Or dirt is just like cards that are just trash filler. Usually when you draft, I would say the last 5 cards could all be dirt depending on what's in the packs. Sometimes you get lucky, but it's usually just, I call it filler, but
yeah, it could be something maybe it's not in your colors, or maybe it's just a card that's just flat out not good. Usually like cards that are
you're kind of just you're just forced to draft it.
Yeah, I would say an example of dirt would be like a creature with some stats and flavor text and no abilities is usually like considered dirt.
Yeah, that would be, or like a common vanilla creature like a 6-mana 5/5 with nothing on it would be.
Yeah,
that'd be dirt.
You wouldn't be feeling. How dare you talk about Colossal Dreadmaw as such?
Shit, you saw through me.
Baby Titan.
All right, so now that so when you're looking through the bread ideology, there's that's the kind of the order you want to prioritize what your drafting is. So when you look at your pack, you want to draft look for cards in that order of priority. So you're looking for your bombs first, and then you're looking for your followed by removal, evasion, aggro, and then defense. So when you're picking a card, you want to consider its use in those categories. And then that usually helps you build a kind of a synergistic draft. You can also consider like synergies, like you can break the mold of this and like draft something that's synergistic for your deck, even if it falls into like one of the later categories. If it has enough synergies in your deck, it can do some stuff. Like I remember back in Return to Ravnica draft, I drafted a deck with like 3 Wild Beastmasters, and I just went from there, even though that card's just not good. And then I ended up 3-0ing that draft. But anyway, so now that we know how to draft and what the priorities are, let's talk about like the various archetypes that are featured in Commander Legends.
Yeah, so what's the first one we got here? Like Azorius Flyers, right?
Yeah, so we should mention when you want to pick how you want to draft, we're going to suggest that you draft usually a 2-color deck. Drafting 3 colors can be a little bit difficult as the partners are all single color. And sometimes getting the dual color commander or tricolor commander you want is difficult because I believe all the tricolor commanders are rare. So it's not guaranteed you're going to get a 3-color commander, but it is guaranteed you'll get a 1 or 2 color commander or partner pairing that gives you into 2 colors. So we would definitely recommend drafting in the 2 color set. But yeah, let's start. Let's go down and talk about what the 2 color strategies are.
Yeah.
Sure. So Azurius Flyers is the first. I actually want to say really quickly, usually when I draft, I would never take a 2 color card early because it's just, what if your strategy goes in one direction or the other? It's not a good way to go. But I guess if you had a 2 color bomb, then I would take it and then maybe try and.
That's what's called forcing it. Is like you can put yourself in a hole when you pick a 2 color card right away, because it's like, now I have to draft around this card. But like, so sometimes you don't want to do that, but sometimes they're just so good you can just try to force it.
Yeah.
You have to use your best judgment there.
Yeah. So for Flyers, we have Kangi Skywarden. This was kind of, I guess, a suggested commander, even though it's an uncommon. So it's 3 generic.
Well, if it's an uncommon, so you'll actually see it more because each pack has 2 uncommon
We should mention it.
uncommon legendaries in it.
Yeah, we should mention for this discussion, we tried not to include any of the rare commanders.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
hard to come across.
So yeah, this is a 3/3 flying vigilance, and whenever Kangi Skywarden attacks, attacking creatures with flying get +2/+0 until end of turn, and when it blocks, blocking creatures with flying get +0/+2 till end of turn. So just a great all-around flyer.
Yeah,
And-
Azorius always was classic with playing flying men in limited, which is blue-white flyers. Never a bad strategy.
Yeah, this is
Well,
a solid sorry.
No, sorry. I cut you off.
draft, like super easy to draft strategy just to pick blue-white flyers. It's actually the first draft I ever won at my LGS was just drafting flyers, and because someone just told me, they're like, if you draft flyers, you'll do really well. So I mean, don't go into the draft with that headspace, but if you're seeing that these colors are open and you're seeing some flyers go by, definitely snatch them up.
Yeah.
I mean, no, but like actually though, so the thing that I've noticed watching the a little bit of Commander Limited content, evasion is like the biggest priority that you need to prioritize, because most games end up in this like mid to like mid-late game standoff and stalemate.
Yeah, like the board
Having
gets
a
gunned up really bad.
Flyers,
Yeah.
things that can get through will actually progress the game. So like,
All right.
picking a Flyers deck is amazing.
All right, so yeah, there's a couple cards that in our discussion we're actually gonna talk about a couple cards in the uncommon and common slot that you should consider when drafting, when trying to go build these strategies too. So for Flyers, there's a couple we thought of, Ward of Evo's Isle and Kangi's Lieutenant. So Ward of Evo's Isle makes your Flyers cost less, and Kangi's Lieutenant is a cheap flyer with Encore. So it has a lot of use outside of when you physically, like, you can use it as kind of like a finisher. Like if it ends up in your graveyard somehow, you can encore it and then alpha strike with a +3/+3 to your entire board of flyers.
Ugh, that's disgusting. That's amazing, but that's disgusting.
So yeah, like flying men never bad. So now let's move on to our next column, Dimir.
Yeah, so with Dimir, what do we've got? We've got graveyard interactions and an artifact strategy. Arumi of the Dead Tide being a 3-mana 1/4 suggestion, tapping it to exile cards from your graveyard equal to the number of opponents in the game. Target creature in your graveyard gains Encore until end of turn. That's kind of sweet, actually.
That's really cool.
It's an uncommon too, so
Yeah.
Yeah, Arami is just a good commander anyway. But in limited, it's even crazier because like all the creatures you've just used are now usable again, and they can get Encore, so you can get three times mate, and their Encore is their cost, so there's not like an elevated cost to encoring them, except for exiling cards you weren't going to use anyway that are in your graveyard. So Eri, what are some uncommons and commons we should look out for drafting this strategy?
So we thought that Revenant would be a great creature to go along with. I'm gonna pronounce this name so poorly. Raumi.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, so Revenant is a star 5-mana flyer, and its power and toughness are equal to the number of creatures in your graveyard. So obviously, if you're exiling stuff from your graveyard, does it still apply?
Well,
Because it's not ending up in your graveyard. Oh
well,
wait,
it'll be big first, but then like if you need to
get that.
encore it, you can get a whole bunch of revenants. You know what I mean? That are like pretty big.
You just, I guess, have to balance. I guess Corpse Churn is the other card we recommended. It works great with both of these cards because you get to mill cards into your graveyard and then bring a creature from your graveyard to your hand. So it just fills up the graveyard. And if you do mill multiple creatures, I mean, it makes Revenant stronger and gives Aruami more gas.
Yeah.
As a quick aside, if you guys haven't seen it, please look at the art on Revenant and like take some time to look at this. I've scrolled in on this as far as I can.
Yeah, it's tagging that poor rabbit. It also has flavor text from Hans Eriksson, the guy on Lurgoff, by the way.
Hans Rune.
I can't run. It's the local.
For those curious, the flavor text is "Not again, Hans."
Poor bunny.
Yeah. All right, next up. Next up in Rakdos, which was one of Sean's favorite archetypes. So Rakdos focuses around sacrificing stuff.
Sacrificing is so much fun. I mean, I'm addicted to it in MTG Arena right now. And I'm not gonna lie, like aside from like Yorlock, the Junk Commander, I'm really been looking at Jury as like an inclusion in some stuff. So it's kind of like a smaller core world. You're getting a 2-mana 1/1, Rakdos in color. Whenever you sack a permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and when it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. So it's like a combination of like a Corvold and a Dreadhorde Butcher, which I'm just kind of all for.
Yeah, so Jury is like going in just about any black-red sacrifice deck. I would say, like, in limited, Jury's a good commander. I would say other than that, it's like a good piece for your deck. But there's plenty of good... So this set actually has some of the best limited sacrifice cards that care about sacrificing. So you have stuff like Fleshback Marauder, which is a self-sacrificer to make everybody sack stuff.
I was going to say that card is pretty insane with Araumi.
Yeah,
Huge,
extremely good with Araumi. Yeah, and then Viscera Seer, which was one of the best sacrifice out in the format period, got a reprint at common. A one black mana 1/1, and it says sacrifice a creature, scry 1. So it's a free sacrifice outlet for your deck. And you can use stuff like Sanitarium Skeleton if you need a recurable sacrifice piece. There's a lot on Death Trigger or stuff you can use in the format, but these two cards I thought like stood out as in the sacrifice archetype.
Oh, hands down. I mean, and just to put it more into perspective, like just how good Viserys here is at a common, the closest comparison we'd have is Woe Strider, which is a rare, and it's at 3 mana and only comes with a 0/1. So you're getting 1 mana 1/1 version at a common slot versus a rare at a 3/2 slot. So, like.
Yeah, I think this is the sacrifice thing is pretty nice, and like Red has some cards too. Like they have a little pirate that when he dies he leaves a treasure behind, and he has Encore. So now you get the treasure, and then with Jury, and then you can use the treasure to put a counter. Get a treasure gives them counters, and then you can Encore this thing back to get 3 more of these guys that are going to die at the end of the turn, giving you 3 more treasures, feeding Jury 3 more counters, giving you 3 more treasures to feed him later. So Jury gets pretty big. And it's a tactical nuke, like if you decide you want to just get if you have to sacrifice your commander too. All right, so Eri, Gruul is pretty much doing Gruul things. This archetype, but we should talk about it anyway.
Gruul's doing the big stompy thing. So the commander that we chose for this is actually a rare. It's actually funny because it looks like that it belongs in the next set that's coming out, which is Kaldheim. Is that how you say it?
Kaldheim, yeah.
Time. So his name is Hans Eriksson. It's a 1/4 for 4 mana, and when he attacks, you reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature, put it onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, defending player or planeswalker. Otherwise, put the card into your hand. But the tricky thing with him is when it's a creature, the creature has to fight him.
Yeah, so it's gonna kill most of the creature. You have to be careful about what you're gonna slap out with hands.
Yeah,
because it'll probably kill him at some point.
Yeah, there's no protection for Hans in this set. Like there's no Darksteel Plate, there's no Dolmen Gate, stuff like that.
Yeah, there's no regeneration or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other option at Green Red actually, which I actually just learned about today, and the card art is awesome by the way, is Tuya Bearclaw.
She's a bomb.
Yeah, she. I think she gets +X/+X when she attacks, where X is the greatest power.
She gives a creature.
Oh, she gives a creature +X/+S when she attacks.
Yeah, she's baby Xenagos.
Which is her attack or equal to her power or the greatest power on board. I think it's her power, right?
Whenever Tuya Bearclaw attacks, it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the greatest power amongst other creatures you control.
Oh yeah, so Tuya Bearclaw is in the uncommon slot, so you may see her more often than Hans Eriksson, but Hans Eriksson is still someone you want to look out for here. But Eri, what kind of uncommons should we look out for this strategy?
I just tried to Google Bearclaw so I could see the card you guys were talking about.
You had a donut, didn't you?
Yeah, it's a donut.
Yeah.
Magic card, guys.
I love bear claws.
So good cards to kind of go with this big stompy archetype are Monstrous Onslaught. So this is a sorcery removal card. It deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures. X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So that's pretty good. And removal tends to be a little sparse in green, so cards like this can be pretty valuable. And that's an uncommon. And then the creature card is Wildheart Invoker. So 2 generic, 2 forests for a 4/3. You can tap 8 mana and target creature gets +5/+5 and gains trample until end of turn. So this is interesting because if you had Hans as your commander and you attack with him and you flip Wildheart Invoker, could you then pump Hans so he wouldn't die? Oh wait, then he would just kill this Wildheart.
He would kill the Wildheart Invoker. Yes, you could actually, because it already entered and fought. So you have the ability to pay the 8. But the point was to make something else really big, because you're gonna get to a late point of the game where you may not have a gummed up board, and giving it something trample and +5/+5 can usually start getting you there.
Yeah. That's true, and push some damage through.
Also is an elf, so pretty good.
That's true. I have heard EK say too that the games can be a little stale or a little, I don't know how to say it, a little long, a little bit of a stalemate. So I guess this could help.
This is gonna get edited, but EK, you're on mute. Anyway.
Yeah, there we go. I was gonna say every game of Commander Limited that I have watched, has been solid 25-minute portions where life totals literally have not changed.
Yeah, because the boards get gummed up. It's like a go. Every deck turns into something that's like a go wide thing, and boards get gummed up to the point where someone has to break through somehow.
And
so you want to be the one to break through.
The interesting thing to note is the quote unquote good removal is all at rare in white and red.
Yeah, so if you're not playing those, you don't have the best removal, but there's some removal in the format that's good.
The other thing I wanted to mention for Gruul was an honorable mention strategy. You can totally just do Gruul ramp.
Yeah, you can do Gruul ramp too,
fairly easily, because Fyndhorn Elves is a common. You have Halana and Elena at uncommon, and
there's Farhaven Elf.
Elena is literally red Selvala.
That's true. Yeah, actually.
I forgot about her actually. But yeah, no, you can.
I was gonna say, we all know how disgustingly powerful Selvala is.
Yeah.
So putting her in red at uncommon is crazy.
Yeah, I would say if you have the ability to spend more mana than your opponents, you're usually doing something good. So Gruul ramp is also a strategy, but it does turn into big stompy bros for the most part.
Yeah. You're gonna set the basis for Gruul stompy with Gruul ramp.
Yeah. All right. So next we'll move into Selesnya, and they deal with +1/+1 counters, which is typically a thing Selesnya is known. One of the many things Selesnya is known for. They're usually known for I feel like a lot of other color pairs dip into counters, but Selesnya is the counter kind of pair for this draft. For this limited, they have 2 commander options, one that are pretty good for it, one at rare and one at uncommon. So the rare option, Lathiel, is beautiful unicorn, a 2/2 with lifelink for 4. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, distribute up to that many +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures. So you just start making your board a little bit bigger every time you gain some life. The other option is Hazma, which is that big elephant bro. He's like 4 and green white for like a 5/5, and he says he costs 1 less for every creature with a +1/+1 counter on it that you control, and then creatures cost X less, generic less to cast, where X is the number of creatures with +1/+1 counters on your control. So this guy only costs 2, and then he has an Animar effect.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Gross. And there's plenty of artifact creatures in this set he can abuse. But let's just talk about some. What kind of cards should we look for in our draft area to supplement our counter strategy?
So some great counter cards. One is Inspiring Roar. This is a 4-mana sorcery. It's just put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. And the other one is Scrounging Bandar. It's a 2-mana 0/0 that enters the battlefield with 2 1/1 counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, you can move any number of 1/1 counters from Scrounging Bandar onto another target creature.
Yeah, so he's like a mini Forgotten Ancient.
Mm-hmm. Was the card you were talking about before an uncommon?
Oh, Hazma, yeah, or Hamza, yeah, he's an uncommon, yeah.
That's disgusting.
That's sick.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's basically like Selesnya Animar for counters. I can see someone making a pretty good Hamza deck and just like slamming down free Eldrazi and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a Rakdos deck that does it too, and that Rakdos deck is good. So if you do it in the cards that actually have Ram.
Oh, Rakdos Lord of Riots, yeah.
Yeah,
I love that guy.
That guy gets the job done. Life loss to reduce the cost, and then play Eldrazi. Hello.
Nice
yeah. So if you do it in a card, if you do it in a color combo that
limited.
actually ramps.
In limited.
Yeah. I mean, there's no spaghetti monsters to cheat out, but there's some really big bombs with Cascade in this set.
Yeah, so the 6/5 Reacher with Trample that has Cascade, that's good enough to play with this card, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you're pretty much looking at Hamza for your commander if you want to go green white. I think there's a couple other. There's
all the partner combos.
Yeah, there's the partner combos. There's the one that's it's a pony and it gives puts a +1/+1 counter on a commander that attacks or something like that.
Yeah. So there's.
Are you telling me I could have a unicorn and pony deck?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you can put the pony in your unicorn deck. Yeah.
You can also make the commanders indestructible with a giant, fancy-looking white wolf.
Yeah, there's that one too. Yeah. Oh, the Princess Mononoke wolf, whatever it's called. Yeah.
Inaro.
Yeah.
Woven familiar.
Yeah. So you could use the horse and the wolf as your partner commander if you wanted to, but that would be a good counter strategy for Selesnya. All right. Next up, Orzhov. This one usually is about creature tokens and life gain and life loss. So Eri, do you want to let's talk about that real quick?
Sure. So the uncommon commander that we've picked for this is, I might say the name wrong again. Thelyss?
Alicia.
Thelyss.
Something like
Reverend
that.
Medium. So it's 5 mana for a 3/4. At the beginning of each end step, create X 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying, where X is the number of tokens you created this turn. So I don't know how strong this card is specifically in this set because I don't know how many cards generate tokens.
The ones I thought of for white were Raise the Alarm, which is a common at instant to give you 2 1/1 soldiers. And then there's one that gives you 1 on every upkeep or something like that. Is for it's
and then their court card.
Oh, the court. Yeah. So if you're lucky enough to draft the white court, then you'll start getting soldiers on your upkeep too.
Tons of tokens.
They have another uncommon commander that can create white soldiers as a mana sink as well, but it anthems all of your creature tokens +1/+4.
Yeah. So yeah, the cat guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird pump. I've never seen +1/+4. I think has never appeared on any card before. So.
New number combination.
Yeah. But
it's also 3 mana.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cheap. So there's actually some pretty good support for the token strategy too, Eri.
Yeah, so Intangible Virtue is one card. This is a super inexpensive 2-cost enchantment. Creature tokens you control get +1/+1 and have vigilance. If you're able to create and have +2/+2 vigilant flyers, that would be pretty great, especially because we talked before about how powerful flying is as an invasive strategy. This could be quite powerful. And the other card that works really well with tokens is Nadir's Nightblade. So it's a 3 mana 1/3, and whenever a token you control leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. So I kind of like this as almost, I mean, I guess it slowly kind of picks away your opponent's life, but I also like this with, I don't know if there's board wipes in the set. I'm just picturing board wipe.
There's some. There's at uncommon. There's the one that's
Blasphemous Act and a new one in white.
Yeah,
That's
there's a white
really
one. There's the white one that kills all non-commanders. There's the black. There's a black one uncommon that's a languish. Then you become the monarch. There's the one that says non-elves get -2/-2.
But like they're all rare. They're all rare.
No, actually,
the
two black ones I just mentioned, uncommon and common, respectively.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like white is austere command at rare and
yeah. It just seems fitting that Orzhov does It just seems that Orzhov does tokens and death and taxes in this limited format too, because that's what they're really known for.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I do like how they kind of kept like some color identity with each aspect of the set and like what it does. It's a nice kind of flavor, you know.
Well, you say that, but then we go on to our next archetype, which is it, and usually known for Spellslinger, but it's not known for that this time.
Okay, fair enough.
Pirates.
Yay, pirates! All right, so Eri, why don't you tell us about the pirate strategy?
Sure. So the commander we chose is Captain Vargas Wrath. So he's an island and a mountain for a 1/1. And whenever he attacks pirates you control, get +1/+1 until end of turn for each time you've cast the commander from the command zone this game. Which I think for a 2-drop 1/1 would happen several times, because if you're going to play him early, he's probably going to be an early target.
Yeah.
He might die a couple times, but then he just gets stronger. So that's fine.
Yeah, it should also be mentioned there's a ton of pirate options at uncommon this set. For your commander.
Even at common, I'm looking through the set. Even at common, there are tons of pirates.
Oh, I meant just for the commanders. Like there's tons of uncommon pirates. Like there's Ghost of Ramirez de Pietro. There's the monkey goblin guy.
Yep.
You have there's the giant pirate. There's a bunch. And like this deck is like there's a lot of good pirate support in here too. Unfortunately, Sailor of Memes not included, but Siren Stormtamer is, so that's a pretty good. It's a pretty good draft. But we don't need to tell you how good that card is. But there's some new cards there's some new cards in this set that are appearing that are really good for the pirate tribe. And so what are those exactly?
So the first one is Coastline Marauders. So it's 2 generic and a red for an 0/3 trample. And whenever he attacks, he gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each land defending player controls. So could become quite beastly. He also has Encore, which could be an interesting way to finish the game, because he has Trample, and I mean, by the time you're playing him for his Encore, it's probably going to be late game. So could be a fun way to break through. And the other card is Merchant Raiders. So it's 3 generic and an island for a 2/4. And whenever Merchant Raiders or another pirate enters the battlefield under your control, tap up to 1 target creature, and that creature doesn't untap during the controller's next untap step for as long as you control Merchant Raiders.
Yeah, gross. It's just you play more pirates and you start good dungeon geisting all their stuff.
So good.
So pirates actually seems pretty strong. Just looking at these 3 uncommons, seems like good.
It gets better once you start looking at the commons.
To this point, Pirates has easily been the most fun strategy I think we've talked about. I've been looking at this the whole time.
Well, it's not the only. Thankfully, it's not. Well, thankfully or unthankfully, however you want to look at it, it's not the only tribe support. Elves are back, and now they're back in Golgari.
Are we in Llanowar? I mean,
are we in
Lorwyn?
Are we in Lorwyn? You would think that, because there are actually a lot of Lorwyn and like cards that are in this set. So Golgari focuses mostly around elves. So the Golgari elves are known for like some graveyard shenanigans and discarding, in addition to being elves. Commander you want to look at, you would look out for. There's actually a black and green partner pairing that's pretty good. There's like 3 of them actually. But the one, the big bomb really like you're looking for as far as your commander is the Abomination of Llanowar, which is, as far as I can tell, a bunch of elves stapled together.
It's literally an elf.
It is.
Yeah, this is a star legendary elf horror for 1 generic, a green and a black. It has vigilance and menace, so it already has is evasion on it, and its P and T are equal to the number of elves on your board and in your graveyard. So it's just a big idiot with some sort of evasion, and it just gets big. And like you can kill the elves, and if you don't kill him, he's just still, if he's undealt with, he's still just as big. So like he's like a pretty good, like if you just want one commander, he's a good look. But I think there's like 3 elves in black and green in the partner set that you can use as well. So you should look for those too. But there's some really good the elves, in my opinion, got some of the best uncommons this set, Eri.
One of them is Imperious Perfect. So I'm pretty sure this is, this is definitely a reprint, but it is such a fun card to play with. It's 2 generic and a green for a 2/2. Other elves you control get +1/+1, and then you can tap a forest, tap it, and it just pumps out green elf warrior creature tokens, which is just, I mean, it works really well with the massive elves stapled together, also known as the Abomination.
Yeah. Well, Imperious Purpose is a good elf elf ball card in general. Like every elf ball
you play it in Constructed.
Yeah, like the fact that it's back is really nice because Imperious Purple was getting in the like $2 to $3 range. Now it'll be like just like cents. So it's nice to see Imperious Perfect back. And then my personal favorite elf in this set was reprinted. One of my favorite elves. It's mono black elf. It's Guiltleaf Winnower. 3 black for a 4/3 with menace. When Guiltleaf Winnower enters the battlefield, you can destroy a target non-elf creature with power and toughness that aren't equal.
That's cool.
So, so it's a removal spell and an evasive creature for 5 mana. And there's a good chance. Is there a good chance you're going to run into some other elves? Sure. Are you going to run? Will this kill a lot of things? Yes. But yeah, there's also the board wipe that cares about non-elves. That's a good one. So you can that's at common, I believe common. So you can grab that pretty easily. There's a couple elves will encore. One of them leaves tokens. One of them gives -1/-1 to an opponent's creature.
Ooh.
So they both have encore. So like if you bring them back, you just. Like I remember in the Seal game I played, I brought back the one that with tokens, so you get 3 of these things that can attack right away, and then you get 3 elves that you get to keep. So you get 6 things for 6 mana.
I want to point out, elves is also one of the few strategies that naturally has like a card that has card draw on it too, in this entire set.
That's
like raw card draw.
Yep.
Elves is one of the few strategies that actually has card draw.
Yeah, that's because the Elvish Visionary is in this set too. We don't need to tell you how good that card is. You can play Elvish Visionary in any green set. It just gets better because if you're playing elves.
Yeah, but you can like make it better than you can make it better than a 2 mana 1/1 in this.
Oh
set.
sure, like easily. But I'm saying like even if you were not playing elves, you could make a case for running Elvish Visionary anyway.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, so next I think there's only one person that could talk about this next archetype. EK, tell us about the Boros strategy.
So Boros, they really pushed artifacts, they pushed auras and equipment. They didn't do a very good job at it because there's only.
I would counter argue that, but go ahead.
So the couple of things that we came up with were if you're lucky to draft a Kiri Lineslinger, you should probably take her. But otherwise, you're looking at like Arden, Intrepid Archaeologist, or like Roger, the 0 mana Kobold.
Oh, yeah. Arden and Rograk are actually a pretty cool, insane commander pair too. Like just for constructed.
Yeah.
Like they're climbing, they're climbing the Boros list on EDH Rec actually.
Yeah, pretty cool. Well, because cheating mana cost is a big deal, and cheating mana cost in limited is an even bigger deal. But Arden is a 3 mana 2/2. At the beginning of your combat, on your turn, you may attach any number of auras and equipments you control to target permanent or player, which implies that you can move curses around.
Not that there's curses in this format, but if there were, you could.
You could. But yeah, the couple of there's a couple of aura and equipment matters cards like Champion of the Flame, which is a 2 mana 1/1. It's 1 and a red for Human Warrior with Trample. Champion of the Flame gets +2/+2 for each aura and equipment attached to it.
Yeah, so like you're looking for guys to stick your stuff on, and like he's one of the better ones.
Yeah, but what I will say, in terms of equipment in this set, so there's a really, really good mythic, but there's literally a handful of common and uncommon equipments. Like
Yeah,
your bomb equipment is like Hero's Blade,
yeah. Heroes Blade's
which
kind of
functionally is like, yeah, but it's like 6 mana plus 3+2 is what I'm saying. Like, so a lot of the equipment in this set is very inefficient for what
Yeah,
it's trying to do.
I thought that with the auras too. Like the auras seemed a little on the iffy side. You know what I mean? It's not like there were Sentinel eyes or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like what I will say is while this strategy exists, like the more and more that I look at it, the more and more I realize like it's not efficient to run a strategy like this. Like I would only go for this unless you're like kind of forced to. Cause like you're just gonna be you're gonna be doing your thing so much slower than the rest of the table. Cause you know you're looking at paying like 3 to 4 mana, upwards of 6 mana for equipment, and then 3 to 4 mana to then equip it to your thing, unless you happen to have gotten Arden. Like you're not gonna get off to the races as fast as any of these other strategies.
There's also that like uncommon dwarf commander, and he's okay. Like I don't think he's as good as Arden plus a partner. Yeah.
I would rather see him in the 99. Because like I'm not gonna go out of my way to do this strategy. But if you happen to get that strategy and have Rayev out, all of your stuff that is equipped has double strike.
Ooh.
So if you happen to find a way to get through the wall of 5/7s and stuff with menace, like you're gonna be hitting with double strike, but like I said, like it's probably the most underwhelming archetype in the entire set.
I would disagree. I would say our next one is actually the most. Our next color pair is the most underwhelming, but
which is because it has the most to live up to.
Yeah. Okay. So Swazo, talk about. You want to lead us into our final pairing of Simic?
Yeah, sure. It's super disappointing. Like that, you're not wrong.
But for the first time ever, Simic has disappointed.
It's on the top of everything else. Thank God they put it on the back burner. Okay, it dominates literally everything else.
So yeah, Simic really the only way I can see going would be ramp. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but like maybe there's some stuff I'm not seeing. But I looked at the color pair for like a solid like 20 minutes this afternoon. I'm like, yeah, there's not much. I don't know where to go, what to do with this.
Yeah, like EK said, like if you're lucky enough to open a mythic commander and you pull the Thrasios, you're playing it. But I don't know, Queenie, do you have anything for blue green here? It's just really, you got to have some sort of payoff here because the blue green cards are gonna ramp you. It's a lot of the elves we just talked about. You're gonna get more lands.
Your payoff in blue green is Cascade.
Yeah, you got to have something else. Is the thing.
I mean, the other cards that we've chosen to go with this are Farhaven Elf. So when it enters the battlefield, you can put a land onto the battlefield. So I guess a ramping. And then Findhorn Elves, which is basically a reprint, but with a different name of Longwar Elves. So ramping to, I mean, I'm not sure. I'm personally just happy to see that Simic looks terrible because I'm so tired of Uros and Elks.
Simic needs a break for a change. Like honestly, like okay, so like the uncommon commander is Emoti, and it's like the one that says when you cast a 6 mana or more spell, you get to Cascade. Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean,
and it's a 5 mana 3/1.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's extremely easy to remove. Like you can play. There's an elf you can play, and it just flat out kills it, and it's like for 2 or 3 mana, and this thing is just dead. It's just dead. Well, then you have to pay 7 for this thing, and that feels extremely bad. And then it's in the basically you're drafting a Timmy deck, so like your top end is a lot bigger than everybody else's top end because you want to play like 6-cost stuff, and it just doesn't work. And then
and that's something that I've been thinking about the entire time that we've been talking. There's no ramp in this set.
There's no like green land grab except for like the Farhaven, except for
Three
Farhaven.
there's three visits.
And Fertilate, and Fertilate and three visits. Yeah. So those are the only
So,
land
like,
grabs
if you're
in
not
the set.
if you're not in green, the only ramp in the entire set is the diamonds.
Yeah.
No, and, well, any of the rocks really. So like you have the diamonds, you have sphere, you have thought vessel is on common, arcane signet.
Yeah, arcane
so you have more ramp at colorless, which is probably good for limited anyway.
Yeah,
than you do in
but I mean, but like those are going to be the most sought after cards.
Oh yeah, like everyone will like easily like snap.
Arcane
signet.
Yeah, so like it's going to take you a while to get into these like stompy strategies, which is why like I think if you're going to do stompy, you'd rather do it in Gruul because you at least like you get the green elves, you get 3 visits, you get you get the arcane signet, you get Sisei's ring, you get like everything that ramps in the entire pool of cards.
Yeah, it's just like green is not like while green does have ramp in it for limited, it's not like the best. Like you have some, but it's not you can hang your laurel on that kind of thing. You can't just draft all the ramp. Which is probably by design, frankly.
A good thing. It's a good thing because if you think about it, like most of the time, the person who gets the 10 mana the fastest is going to win the game. So if everyone's kind of quote unquote struggling to get to that 10 mana mark in a game, chances are more people are going to have a chance to either do something or like win in general.
Yeah.
So if no one has ramp, then everyone's on the same playing field.
All right. So then I guess the last question is, we have all the color combos. When do we want to use Prismatic Piper?
I feel like it kind of comes in when you're getting a monocolored, but just don't have a dual color or like a single other color commander to go with it, right? Let's say you draft your entire set. You have half a deck of a red or half a deck of blue, half a deck of green. You're just missing the commander to make that partner work. I think that's kind of like the one-off it happens, just so there is no feels bad moment, right?
I mean, even when they were designing the set, it didn't happen very often, but Prismatic Piper was put in as a failsafe.
Yeah, I would say like you could use Prismatic Piper. Like I think Eri you can weigh on this. I think you use Prismatic Piper as part of your strategy because there's going to be drafts where you draft a color and you read the signals and you're drafting a color that you get a lot of good cards in, but don't have a commander for. So you can just draft a commander of the other color, and then you can use this thing, so you don't have to force into a color of a commander another commander you drafted where your stuff may be weaker.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because the way it's hard to kind of picture what drafting this set would be like because I haven't done it yet. But what if you just draft amazing removal in one color, but you just can't get a legendary creature for it? Then this is kind of like your failsafe. And if the removal is so powerful, it's probably worth having a shitty prismatic whatever commander to be able to play all those cards.
Definitely. And also another scenario that could come up would be very often you start drafting a color, and by the second pack, you have completely switched what you're going for. You got a bomb.
Well, and you're drafting so many cards at a time too.
Yeah, you got a bomb in a different guild color set now, and now you have to play that. You're priced into Orzhov, and you've been drafting blue the whole time or something. I don't know, like something completely ridiculous. So like now you've got to play Esper basically, but you don't have any way to do that. I mean, this is how you're going to do it.
Yeah. So I think whereas you probably won't use Prismatic Piper, you have to like use your judgment in a spot and decide if you should use it.
Yeah, you kind of look for where it's applicable. I think is the big thing, and hopefully you're not stuck in a position where you have to. But in worst case you are, then you are, and you take advantage of it being there.
I think EK said it too. I think more often than not, you're not going to be using Prismatic Piper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's literally just in there as a failsafe on design, and the like extreme off chance that you just don't get it. Because if you think about it, each pack has a minimum of 2 legendaries.
Yes.
And there are 70 partners in this set. Like you will
Yeah, you're on there.
see.
I could
You know.
see Prismatic Piper being much more relevant in sealed than in draft.
Yeah.
You
Sure.
could definitely be forced to play more of your cards that way. So that might be more of an avenue for it.
Yeah,
also
and I forget the breakdown of how often you'll see Prismatic Piper in your couple of sealed packs, but like the format is kind of written out, you can just always have a Piper.
Yeah.
I also find in sealed, you can sometimes get away with playing 2 colors, but sometimes you just have to do 3, depending on what you get. You're either playing 2 colors and like a bunch of trash, or you're trying to like balance 3 colors and like hope your mana fixing just works out for you.
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
you're just
that's a
me
good
and
point. That's a
everything
good point, though,
you drafted
'cause,
is
like-
trash. So
I mean, it's interesting that you make that point because like I'm looking at the 3-color commanders and there are some bombs in 3
Yeah, but they're all on rare.
If
is the
you,
thing.
if you get lucky enough to draft one of them, I mean they're rare.
Yeah,
But
that's why I
there's-
didn't. That's why I didn't want to suggest them as like this is what you should look.
Yeah,
for.
but at the same time, there's also upwards of 3 rare or rarer cards in each pack.
Yeah.
Like,
So there is a chance.
It's
There's a
likely
chance.
that you'll see one.
You'll see
like
one in your draft for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, your commander slots can be taken up by an additional rare. They're randomized. They're not always uncommon commanders.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think before we go to go to our close, I should mention if you do want to draft this with your friends or do sealed, these packs don't have lands in them, like basics. So you may want to ask your LGS if they'd be willing to provide you with some land stations, or you could buy some land stations from them. I was, thankfully, I'm, a very kind LGS, and they were happy to supply each of my friends with a land station each, so we had plenty of basics to play with.
Land stations are a commander's draft person's best friend.
Yeah.
to piggyback on that, I'm pretty happy to hear they don't have lands.
Yeah, it means you draw all gas, no brakes for the most
Yeah.
part. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good because this format seems really difficult to draft to begin with. I'm glad there isn't essentially filler in the
Yeah.
packs. Okay.
There's
there's a
filler.
token.
It's just
Right.
Yeah, it's a token.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, are there tokens in the pack?
There are
Yeah.
tokens,
there's,
yeah.
there's tokens.
19 cards plus a token, or 20 cards plus a token?
19 cards plus a token. I think it's 20. Actually, no, sorry, it's 20 cards plus a
20
token.
plus a token. But you can
That
get
makes
a
sense.
rock.
Yeah. Yeah, it would make no sense to do a 19-card pack and have everyone pick 2 cards at a time.
Yeah.
Someone will get like one card. Everyone gets one card for their last pick. That's kind of weird.
Everyone's last pick will always be 1 card.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to be unhappy if their last pick is a salamander warrior, though. Okay.
That's
Well,
pretty
there's not-
legit.
There's only a couple in this set, and I think one of them's at rare. So if it's if you get a last pick of that guy, amphibious, whatever, I think you're doing pretty good.
Salamander.
Yeah.
And it's not banned like an otter, but
All right. So to the listeners, do you guys have any other tips for drafting this set, or what want to tell us about your favorite draft archetype for Commander Legends? Let us know in the comments below.
yeah. And I think on that note, we're gonna move to our closing here. So, guys, as always, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at @DrawForTurn on Twitter and at @DrawForTurn Podcast on Instagram. We post weekly discussion topics, so drop a follow, get in on the conversation. Queenie, where can the fine people find you at?
You guys can find me on Twitch and on Instagram at QueenieEri. I play Magic, and I recently discovered League of Legends, which I think might be a terrible thing.
Oh
Oh,
no! Are you an ADC main?
ABC, man.
No, ADC.
I thought you were like saying that like jokingly or like trying to sound like you knew the game was
I
about.
played League. I'm a support main in League.
Of course you are.
I'm support too.
Okay, high five.
All right. You guys can find me at Stevie Swazzo on Instagram, Swazzo TV, and all your Twitch chats. And I'm in Tampa, about 1 mile from the Bucs Stadium. So let's go Bucks! Monday Night Football.
EK, what about you, my dude?
You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and the rest of the internet at EK Plus Cards. Shout out to my local game store, Games Plus in the Chicagoland area. And shout out, as always, to Rusty and Mark Nestico at Next Bridge Games in Tampa, Florida. I'm looking forward to their Black Friday.
Oh man,
The bling is real.
Yeah.
Be still my wallet.
I get paid on
Yeah,
Black Friday.
they're doing Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, and Cyber Monday.
Oh man. All right, you can drop me a follow on Twitter at DES_AdamN. Always shouts to Top Day Games in Westmont, New Jersey, comic book store in Glassboro, New Jersey. And then just I don't have another. I'll give I'll give a props to Next Bridge Game. I'll second that motion. Those guys are great.
I'll third that. They hook us up good.
Got an 813 in the house.
Yeah, it gives EK a place to spend his money.
I mean, he's got to spend it
They
somewhere.
have built multiple decks for me at this point.
If it wasn't
In full.
2020, it's where I'd be playing my cards. So
Yeah.
Actually though, that is Steven's
literally
game.
where I'd be going.
That's pretty legit. Well, guys, you can find me at Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram at AstrosFlame. I stream a mix of MTG Arena and motivational talks and games. Friday nights, I'm usually hosting our Commander Pods, as well as on the occasional Sunday. Shout out to Harry Tarantula for being awesome today and helping me with a bit of an issue in getting my Commander's Legends box. They helped me track down the missing box of where it's at, and they're helping me to remedy with something from the store to make up for it. So props to them. Great customer service.
You didn't win another contest?
Yeah, I was about to say.
No, not a contest. I just had a missing box.
If you compensate you, Mr. Flames, you're gonna win our next contest.
So when he wins, we know what's happening now. We figured it out. We've cracked the case.
Ooh, they're on to me now.
Yeah, we know at that point it is literally rigged. It isn't just like maybe rigged.
I swear it's not rigged, I promise. Well, I'm just gonna keep up. I better end this up before I keep going.
Yeah, we will go down a rabbit hole.
We will. All right. As always, everyone, remember untap, upkeep, support your local game store, win some giveaways, wear your mask, and as always, draw for turn.